Hello there and welcome once again to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the Mayor of Oklahoma City, and this is our show for August 2014. Glad you're with us. We're going to meet four very interesting people today, and in our first segment we're going to meet Ray Tennyson. Ray, welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Nice to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Ray is an artist, grew up in the Oklahoma City metro area, and he's produced some incredible work, and we're going to show some of those works a little bit later. But first, I want to hear more about you. And you were telling me right before we started the show that you grew up in Midwest City.
Yes, sir. I grew up in Midwest City. I resided in Dolese City, but you know, it was a district type thing. And it was a good, good childhood. But as far as starting off my career in the arts, it was an on and off thing. Because of school, it was kind of more of.
Were you always interested in art? Can you remember back to grade school, perhaps?
It was one of those things that it kept, it nudged at you, a little bit, and that's kind of what it did. It was on and off, and then I guess senior year is when stuff starts to get more serious. Okay, you got to think about your life and what you really want to do. And
what type of art classes were available to you when you were coming through
it was
middle school and high school?
The general art class that you do. They kind of teach you almost all the crafts, from molding and sculpting and stuff like that. So it kind of sparked right there, in the senior year. I had the skills already, but it kind of, for me to push myself to do it, it was, from the school, the senior
When
year.
did you first suspect you might have a talent that other kids didn't necessarily have?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Yeah,
think
you
did?
did. I mean, I don't think you do. I think you just do something as a hobby, and it's kind of it passes time, and then you get so good at it, and then I guess as you become an adult, you kind of figure out, okay, I'm doing something that a lot of people can do. That's because you build up the skill, and when you're in school, it's that thing that it keeps telling you to work at it. So I wouldn't say I actually knew until very recently.
And how long was it before you were able to start making a living, or at least a partial living, off your art?
I decided to become an actual, artist. It was 2010, and that's when I really started practicing.
So you're only like 20 at the time, yeah?
20, that was it, yeah. I started very late, and but I remember I told myself I'm going to work, nonstop until I get to that level. And 2012 was when I did. I was requested, I think, on one of the social networks to do Russell Westbrook, and that's when they was, going really good in the teams. And I did a painting of him, and then I did a video of me painting it in 5 minutes. I kind of smashed like probably 20 hours of painting into 5 minutes.
A little time-lapse photography.
Yeah, time-lapse, and on YouTube, and then we end up getting like 13,000 views, and then on a few Thunder blogs, and that's when I was on the news channel, and from there is when I started going full-time.
All right, well, we have some pictures of some of your work.
Nice.
So we will look at that, and tell us what we're looking at here. First, the Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka, yes. Yeah. These actual paintings were I call them the Roar collection, and so basically, all of them are kind of like, in their moment, after a shot or something, they just kind of gave a roar, and so that's kind of one I wanted to give on this one. So I did.
So there's one of Serge, and there's one of Russell, and then one of Kevin.
Katie, yes sir, yes sir.
And where are these pieces of art today, the originals?
The originals, it's kind of a story behind the originals.
Yeah.
Actually, I was getting ready to do these for a charity, and what happened was on their way shipping, before I got reproductions done of them, so I have prints, but the actual originals all got destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was on route to a highway. So kind of the first reproductions actually became the originals, because at that point they're the only things left. So so it's kind of a neat story. At first it was more of a down type thing. I was like, wow, all the originals are gone. But then again, it had a story behind it, so it made them more valuable. And so now they sell pretty good now.
Really?
Yes, sir.
And so these are for sale in different places around the city?
Yeah, you can, the first three, the actual reproductions, the first ones are actually displayed in Aloft, the new hotel downtown. Yes, and the rest of them, they're limited edition. You can buy those off my website, raytennyson.com.
raytennyson.com. We'll put that on the screen as well, okay?
Yes, sir.
And then tell us about this picture here. It's Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, yeah, it's another charity. I was really good at doing working with most of the OKC Thunder players as far as with their charities, and so they had commissioned me to do a portrait of KD or Serge Ibaka, and so this particular picture was done for Ibaka's, I believe, not Night for Africa, but one one of his African events, and basically it went for auction. It was that painting and it was a Sergeant Baca painting, so it was 2 total.
And were they auctioned off?
Yeah, they were auctioned off.
How much did they go for?
These auctioned off for $5 grand, I believe. And Thabo Sefolosha's event, which was a year before, KD and Russell signed both portraits that I did for them, and those auctioned off for 140 grand.
140,000.
Yes, sir.
What's that feel like?
It's still surreal when I explain it and then tell it. It's still one of those things that it feels weird saying, because I didn't ever think my artwork, and of course with their signatures can produce something and help a charity like that. So it was a awe moment for me.
And you have a pretty good work ethic.
Absolutely.
How many hours a week do you spend at your craft?
Well, since it's full time, and you want to build your career as best as possible, and so one of the things I've done is I probably put in 80% of my time into it, so I would get probably just like a normal job, 80 hours, as
And
much
do you have a studio at your house?
Yes, I do everything online basically. So basically, my thing is I kind of want to be a new type digital artist, and I don't want to be stuck in one place. I want to be able to paint anywhere around the world at any time, and so I do everything digitally from my website. Yes, sir.
RayTennyson.com.
Yes,
and
sir.
we're proud of it. We love to have a local artist on the Mayor's Magazine. Congratulations on your early success.
I appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing what's in the future.
I can't wait.
All right. We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine right after this.
In Oklahoma, the sights and sounds of severe weather are all too familiar.
I'm Frank Barnes, Oklahoma City Emergency Manager. In Oklahoma City, the sirens sound when the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning that includes Oklahoma City.
That's your signal to take shelter and seek information about the tornado that has been detected.
You may hear the sirens more than once. They sound each time a new warning is issued. And remember, there is no all-clear signal. Always monitor the weather conditions until the threat has passed.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the Mayor of Oklahoma City, and we're going to learn more about storytelling in this segment of the Mayor's Magazine, because coming up, the event at the Oklahoma History Center, it's the 34th Annual Storytelling Festival. And we have with us today Peter Dolese and Steve Hawkins. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Steve, you're with the Oklahoma History Center, which is really the venue. And Peter, you're of course the Executive Director of the Arts Council, which has for 34 years put this event on.
34 years.
Yeah, well let's start with the history of the event. You haven't been around long enough to know why and how it started, but what are the roots of this event?
Well, actually, this is one of the oldest storytelling festivals in the country. It started just a few years after the National Storytelling Festival in Jonesboro, Tennessee. And the first director of it was actually a mentor and friend of mine, Lynn Maroney. She's no longer working at the Arts Council, but she was the education coordinator for the Arts Council back in the 80s. And it started in the summertime and actually revolved around the 4th of July time. And we had it, the first one was over at the State Center building in 1982. And it was around 4th of July, so we said, well, we'll have some fireworks. And so we were doing the Storytelling Festival, and that night, like 5,000 people came out for the fireworks display. So pretty quick, a couple of years after that, we moved it to the winter time, and we went ahead and continued to do a 4th of July celebration and working in conjunction with the city of Oklahoma City.
And has it grown throughout the years?
Oh my goodness, yeah. We've had times when it was when it used both theaters at the Stage Center. And right now at the History Center, we have the performances underneath the Winnie Mae, the airplane in the central foyer. And it's a great crowd. We seat between 350 and 500 people for performances.
Well, and Steve, you're the host over at the History Center.
That's right.
How many years has it been at the History Center?
This will be our second year.
Okay.
We're so proud and pleased to have them, and what more appropriate place could you have an event like this?
And I think some people are going to hear, storytelling, they're going to think, oh, it must be for little kids. And that's not necessarily the case. Kids might enjoy this, but this is really for people of all ages who just like to hear good stories.
That's right. That's right.
It really is. We've got professional tellers from all over the world that work at this event. A couple of the tellers, Donald Davis is so popular that we literally book him 3 years in advance to get him to come. And he's a retired Methodist minister. He's probably written 25 books, and he's got all sorts of DVDs and tapes. And his performances at the Nationals, where they have these big tents with like 2,000 people that seat the tents, they roll up the sides of the tents, it's packed inside the tent, and there's hundreds of people on blankets all around the tents just listening.
Now, are these stories true? Are they fictional?
Well,
Does
like
it matter?
in his, it depends. Like a lot of times the tellers will tell stories from their own past, and they embellish them a little bit. One of our tellers, Bill Lepp.
Who wouldn't do that?
Yeah. Bill Lepp, another one of our tellers, has won the Virginia Liars Contest 5 years in a row. So tall tales are involved, and then you know, just family stories, or it can be fantasy, or it can be medieval tales, or tales of you know, back in the Knights of the Round Table or whatever. There's just a variety of different things, or they can be cultural tales too.
Will the History Center be open on these 3 days? And so people can go out and view some of the artifacts and the exhibits at the History Center as well as take part in the storytelling?
They sure can. They can be involved, just as involved as any patron that walks in the front door.
And there are going to be 2 separate venues inside the History Center for this event?
Yeah, under the Winnie Mae, and then again in the Chesapeake Ballroom, I believe we have some.
In the Chesapeake Ballroom is where we do all the workshops. It's actually a 2-part scenario. On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings, and also on Saturday afternoon, we do performances. But all day Friday and all day Saturday, we also do workshops on the art of storytelling. And on those are great. The workshops are amazing. You go to the workshops and you can learn how to apply storytelling to a variety of different scenarios. You'd be amazed how many people could use storytelling in their work. Like, let's talk about lawyers for a minute. Or doctors, bedside manner, or, you know, psychiatrists or librarians, or working with kids.
Well, people love stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't necessarily like being talked at.
Right.
They don't like being lectured to, but if you can disguise it into a story,
absolutely,
sometimes they can learn or be entertained or informed without even realizing it.
Yeah. And that's the whole crux of what the Storytelling Festival is all about, trying to celebrate the art of storytelling.
Yeah, and I'm glad you used the term the art of storytelling, which kind of brings in, you know, your line of work, because some people might say, well, I don't get this, how is this art? How is telling a story art? How would you respond to that cynical line of question?
When someone says that to me, I always come back with it. Storytelling is like painting word pictures. You know, when you go to a movie theater, you see just the screen, and they provide you with the words, and they provide you with the places to laugh, and the music swells, and you don't really create anything in your imagination. But at a storytelling event, a storyteller could start talking about a castle, and they might say, well, the vines go up the side of the castle, and there's a little river that comes down by, and every single person in the audience is drawing their own picture of what that castle is. And so you are in a shared experience with the performer, but you also have a personal experience of developing your own imagination about what you're seeing. And so it's like word pictures in your mind.
Well, let's give the dates and the times. Who wants to do that? You got them there in front of you?
21st to the 23rd.
Okay, it's coming up here in August. 21st
so it's
to the
Thursday,
23rd.
Friday, and Saturday night in late August, and with the workshops going on all during the day, both on Friday and Saturday. But the first performance on Thursday night starts at 7. On Saturday and Friday nights, they're at 8 o'clock, and then the matinee, I believe, starts at 2 on Saturday.
Okay.
But I can't stress enough coming to the workshops, thinking about coming to a workshop. You go to a single workshop performance for $10, or the evening performances are $10 too. But and you can get a whole group price, and you can go to our website to find all that information out. But the workshops are a lot of fun, and fun for the whole family.
All right. Peter, thanks for the work you do, and I look forward to the storytelling event coming up here later in August. And Steve, thanks for the use of the venue, the Oklahoma History Center.
Yeah, we love having it at the History Center.
Our pleasure.
One of our most famous buildings in Oklahoma City. I never get tired of visiting.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll be back with more on the Mayor's Magazine after this.
How you can go green, brought to you by the City of Oklahoma City. Use a recycling bin if curbside service is available in your neighborhood. Grass cycle or mulch your lawn. You'll keep a lot of plastic bags out of the landfill. A half-acre lawn produces more than 3 tons, nearly 260 yard bags of grass clippings a year. E-cycle unwanted electronics to a local recycling center.
For recycling information and other green tips, visit okc.gov.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine, and in this segment we're going to learn more about Jabee. Good welcome to the Mayor's Magazine. I was going to say good afternoon or good morning, but sometimes I never know when the taping of the show airs, so I'm best not to say that. I might throw somebody off. Jabee, you grew up here in Oklahoma City, and now you're a very accomplished artist.
Yeah, I grew up in Oklahoma City. The majority of my life, we lived on the east side of Oklahoma City, and you know, wrote my first rap when I was 7 years old.
Do you remember it?
Nah. I know.
When you were 7, you were already entertaining for whoever the audience might be.
Right, which is, you know, my parents, my sisters, cousins, and stuff like that. We would have like at family get-togethers, we would have like, you know, performances, and I read all my sisters and cousins raps for them, and then we'd all perform and stuff. But yeah, it was fun. So I you know, like I've had the passion in my heart since then. I think I went to the studio my first time when I was about 15. And started performing about 16, 17. So,
what's most misunderstood about your art, about rap?
I think the biggest misconception is probably that it's all drugs, violence, you know, and stuff like that. You know, and that's not true. I think for the most part, the average listener to hip hop music only hears what they hear on the radio, what they see. Like for instance, for me, I might be an average listener to, say, you know, country music. So my interpretation is only what I've been told or what I've heard. You know, I couldn't go down a whole list of awesome country musicians for you, but because, you know, I'm really into hip hop music and rap music. You know, I can go on a list of people and a list of artists who make positive music, who make music that does have depth and does, you know, affect change and uplift people. So. Do
you write your own music?
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah. And what's your inspiration? What are you trying to accomplish something? Are you trying to send a message?
Yeah, I mean, my message is just truth, you know, and just to be honest, and show that, you know, as people, it's our responsibility to care and take care of people, each other. You know, I didn't always see that growing up, you know, and you know, I was taught it by my mom and you know, people who, you know, helped show me, you know, different things. But I think that, you know, with me, with music, you know, I want to be somebody who, you know, whenever I die, they don't say that he was a good rapper, or they don't say that, you know, he sure was cool. They can say, man, that guy helped change my life, or, you know, because of him, I see things totally different, you know. So, like that, I feel like that's what I'm here for. I feel like I'm here for a different reason, you know. It's cool to have fun and make a living, and, you know, and dance and all that, but at the end of the day, I want to be worth more. I want to be sought for something different. I want people to appreciate me for, you know, my heart and my passion and, you know, what I believe. So,
when I was your age and I wanted to purchase music, I would buy it on vinyl or maybe an 8-track tape, or a cassette, or later a CD. How is your music distributed and consumed?
For the most part, it's online. I put out probably, you know, 2 to 3 free albums or projects a year probably that are just online for free. You know, we still do hard copies on CD. There is a market for vinyl. Like I did a set, I wish I would have brought it, I didn't think of, but I did press up a 7-inch vinyl of one of my songs, just like as a limited edition type thing for that audience who still appreciates, you know, that form of music. And but for the most part, I mean, I feel like my success is attributed to the fact that you can find my music online and for free.
And is it monetized online? Are you able to
yeah, I mean,
to benefit financially from?
Yeah, and the good thing about it is I can there are programs now where you can see, okay, people in LA love this music, or people in New York are feeling this song. And, you know, because of iTunes, Amazon, you know, I can pick and choose which products I do want to sell and profit from. And, you know, for instance, for Valentine's Day, I wanted to do just a free download just for Valentine's Day, and it was 5 songs. And it was just, you know, music about, you know, things I've gone through in relationships and stuff like that, and it was just all for free. So
okay, now some people are going to see you and say, haven't I seen him with Kevin Durant?
Well, the funny thing is I've never met Kevin Durant before, but I played at his charity basketball game he had a few years ago when they had the lockout. And you know, I've been at a few events that he was at, and performed at a few events that he had, and I was in the new Nike commercial too. So I mean, but I've never like.
I see. I assumed because you were in the Nike commercial with him that the two of you were on at the same time, but that's not the case. Give us a little background. I mean, Nike's that's no small gig. When Nike calls, that's a pretty big deal.
I thought it was a joke at first, to be honest. I substitute teach during the school year, and so when I got into class, I had an email. And it said, call me back right now for, there's a director who wants to meet you. And so I called the number back, and the guy's like, who is this? I'm like, it says Jabee, I got your email. He goes, I sent out a bunch of emails. What do you want? I'm like, it was about a commercial. He goes, I don't know, call me back. So I just got back online. I just replied to the email and said, you just wrote me. And so I had a show in Norman, and the guy's walking around going, are you Jabee? Are you Jabee? Are you Jabee? And so he finally came and he goes, did Nike call you? I go, no, Nike didn't call me. For what? He goes, look at my phone and say these lines. So he had me say a few lines from the commercial in his phone. He took it to the director. The director liked it, and they asked me to be in the commercial.
That's astonishing. Yeah. What sort of feedback have you gotten from appearing in such a high-profile event? It's
been crazy. I mean, they show it everywhere, which is cool. And the good thing about it is, I get to more or less just be me, and just in a way that I'm in a record store. That's what I go to record shops, and things like that. But I've been like the day it came on. I woke up. I was in Arizona. I woke up and I had like 30 missed text messages, 50 tweets. It was just crazy. So I mean, it's been good, and it's really helped. Take, I guess, my career past just rapping, which is a good thing, and I like to do. So,
are you able to make a living doing what you do?
Yeah, I'm making a living right now doing it. So
that's great.
I just got off tour last week. I toured for 3 weeks, and I'll be back on tour in October for about 3 more weeks. So,
a product of the Oklahoma City school system.
Yes, sir.
Jabee, we're proud of you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine after this.
Keeping Oklahoma City beautiful is all of our responsibilities. Tall grass or weeds, dead or diseased trees and shrubs are a health and fire hazard. Neglected yards and landscaping not only put public health at risk, but also pets, wildlife, and neighborhood children. City ordinance requires owners to maintain their property and right-of-ways. By reporting abuse, you're protecting your property value and helping us keep Oklahoma City beautiful.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine, and in this final segment, we're going to learn more about Brian Winkeler and his work. Brian, welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thanks for having me.
You were telling me before we got started here, you grew up in Bethany?
That's right. Same house that my parents still live in there 38 years later after we moved there.
And you've started in Putnam City Schools?
Putnam City Schools through 8th grade, and then went to Mount St. Mary for high school.
And when did you get started with art? When did you start drawing?
When I was born. I mean, I've always been creative. It's been part of my DNA. When my brother would bribe me to go kick the soccer ball with him, I wanted to stay inside and color and write stories and draw and watch cartoons and that kind of stuff.
Are you a writer, an illustrator, both? How do you describe your talents?
I am mostly a writer. By trade, I work in advertising, branding, so I do graphic design, that kind of stuff. My main strength is writing, and in the comics that we do. I always wanted to draw my own comics, but then at some point I realized that I didn't have the talent or patience to draw them, so I really focused on my writing, and so that's really my
okay.
What I do.
I'm going to hold up this book here. And I've got to tell you, I haven't read it, but it is done amazingly well, and it's become amazingly popular. And that's why you're on the show, to teach me more about what it is I should know about Brian Winkeler and his work. Tell me about this work and the scope and the breadth that it's now taken its audience.
Okay. It's called Knuckleheads Fist Contact. It's it started as a digital series. It started as we self-published an issue in Oklahoma City 4 years ago, and it's still available in some stores around town, some comic book stores. A friend of mine, Robert Wilson IV, he's the illustrator, so he can draw like I can't, and we met through our comic book store, and immediately started thinking of stuff, and this came to us, and so it's a story of a 25-year-old overweight slacker who's given a cosmic weapon to save the world, but he was massively hungover when he was given it, so he doesn't remember any of the instructions. And at the beginning of the story, he's on the couch using it to cheat on video games and steal Netflix.
So it's a comic book character who has, for some reason, inherited or somehow derived supernatural powers,
yes,
but doesn't necessarily know what to do with them or how to benefit the world in general.
Exactly. He is an untraditional protagonist because he does not have the heroic gene necessarily, and so he sort of, it's kind of, this is the first chapter of his hero's journey to get off the couch and figure out how to save the world.
Yeah.
So.
And apparently it's become quite popular.
It just came out. We've been putting out as a digital comic through Monkey Brain, which is a boutique digital-only comics publisher. IDW has put this collection together. It's 144 pages, and we've got. San Diego Comic-Con is coming up. We're heading out there. We've got 2 signings, and we just found out yesterday we're going to be on a panel with the publisher, which is, I never thought it will never get better than this, so I'm just going to absorb it all and enjoy it. It's people who read it really like it because it's not necessarily, people who read comics will enjoy it, but we specifically created it for people that wouldn't necessarily normally read comics, but who like sitcoms, who like comedy movies. You know, that's really what we're trying to do with this, is just sort of have a big, fun adventure that anybody can read.
Okay, so I'll revert back. When I was a kid and I went to buy a comic, they were like 12 cents, and you might buy Archie or Little Lulu or something like that, or Superman. And today there are comic book stores. I mean, in almost every city has a handful of these places, and they're not 12 cents anymore.
They're not.
And the stories can be quite sophisticated.
It's I've got 2 sons, 11 and 6, and we go to New World Comics every 3 or 4 weeks or so, and I get my stack of books and they get theirs. And yeah, most of mine that I pick up are more mature. They're more teens plus, I would say. Luckily, there has been a growing number of all ages books, and those are the ones that my children read. So there are, if you can't necessarily go into a store and pick up a Spider-Man and give it to a 5-year-old, but there are quite a few books that 5-year-olds could read if they, and more should, because that was one of the things that inspired me as a 5, 6-year-old, was reading comics, reading superhero stuff, and that's put me on the creative journey that's taken me to here.
Yeah, and is this something you want to spend more time doing? I know you have an advertising agency also that probably takes most of your time.
That is most of my time. This is my nights and weekends, and whenever we're not shuffling the kids to soccer practice and martial arts kind of stuff. So I do. It's fun. It's something I really enjoy. I'm really passionate about it. I'm not going to be quitting my day job anytime soon, but my hope is people will like it, and if it sells, we'll do more, and if people like it, if editors like it, and they want to talk to me about writing some more stuff, that's one of the things I'm looking for.
And a built-in advantage is, being an ad agency, you have the ability to promote your own work, and that's a significant part of the process.
Absolutely, yeah. That's especially doing it ourselves, publishing the first one ourselves, and then getting this book to this point took a lot of self-promotion and a lot of patience, and so yeah, that's really helped out a lot.
And you're going to San Diego. It's Comic-Con, right?
Comic-Con, the mothership.
Give people that aren't familiar with it, how many thousands of people show up at Comic-Con every year?
Oh, geez, it's endless.
Yeah, tens of thousands.
Absolutely, it just completely stuffs the San Diego downtown area. It is the biggest convention in the States, if not the world, and it's multimedia, TV, video games, movies, toys. It's insane. But it's a ton of fun. I love going.
Well, we're proud of you. Good luck out there, and good luck with the agency, and also good luck with this side venture. We'll be following your work.
I appreciate it.
Brian Winkeler, and people can get your work by
locally at comic stores like New World and All Star and Speeding Bullet, and also it's available on Amazon.
And it's called Knuckleheads.
Knuckleheads.
And that's going to do it for this month's show of the Mayor's Magazine. We'll see you in September with another show. See you then.